Hi, everyone, and welcome to New Jersey Makers Day. My name is Doug Baldwin. I'm the Emerging Technologies Librarian at the Piscataway Public Library, and we're going to be making a balancing toy, calling it the Balancing Toy Challenge because it's a challenge to really get this thing to balance. So hopefully you have your groups and your supplies ready. Just as a quick sort of show and tell, once you have completed the project, it should be a little something like this. Yours could look very different than mine. I could just turn it so you can sort of see. But the basic build will be the same with the corks and the pin. And the idea is that if you have an imperfect balance, you should be able to move it, balance it on your finger, put it on the edge of a table or a counter, and it will stand perfectly upright. So let's put that one away for a moment. So there's gonna be a couple of supplies that you're gonna need to make this particular toy. Starting with a push pin. Now I've got like these extra large push pins, but you can certainly use a regular size push pin for this project as well. So you want your push pin, 2 equal pieces of cork. We got ours from AC Moore, so we're just using 2 corks of equal size. If you're cutting a cork in half to use that, just make sure you cut the cork evenly so they're approximately the same size when using them. So you want 2 corks or 2 pieces of cork. And then you also want to have about 6-inch piece of wire. The wire will make a bit of a difference as far as how you're able to balance the toy. So in this case, I'm using a pretty low gauge wire, so it's a little bit thicker. I know a lot of you that got the maker kits, the gauge on your wire might be a little bit higher, so the wires might be a little bit thinner. So what you may find yourself having to do is actually taking 2 or 3 pieces of this wire and actually putting them together to make a single wire. So you can sort of take one wire, take a second wire, and twist it together to make one wire that's a little bit stronger. Certainly feel free to try it out with 1 wire. If you feel like you're just getting anywhere, you're getting frustrated, try to add a second or third wire onto it to make this a little thicker. It does help. So you want to have your wire. And then you're going to need your hot glue gun, which is going to allow you to make your first connection between the pin and cork. Another tool that if you have available, you really might want advantage of it is some kind of pliers. Scissors could actually work for doing the same thing. The basic idea here is that to have something to pinch and hold the wire with when you're both inserting it into the cork as well, and you're making the manual adjustments to get it to balance. So needles, pliers, even wire strippers, a small pair of scissors, you can do that too. The project can be done completely by hand. It just makes your time going a little bit easier. And then finally, something to decorate with. So I've got here some pops, beads, different size beads. You could add additional wires to it. How you decorate it is totally up to you. The people that got supply boxes, we put things like clothespins, so you can take those apart and have wooden string, toothpicks, so you can add things on there. So have fun with it, be creative with the supplies, and why don't we get started? So the first thing we're going to do is take one of our 2 pieces of cork, take our push pin, and we're going to attach them using the hot glue. So we're going to bring them together so that becomes one unit. If you have different sort of size cork at the bottom and top, it's sort of tapered, anything like that, it doesn't matter which side you're going to use. You can use either side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little hot glue here, put it on my cork. Okay. And then very quickly before that dries, we're going to take and just give it a push and adhere the pin to the cork. Obviously, if you're using regular push pins, you just need a little tiny bit of glue to get it on there. We'll give that a moment to dry. Don't worry about if I'm going too fast. I know a lot of you might have larger groups, 10 to 15 participants are going, so it's going to take a couple moments to even just get through these steps. I just did this project with our group here at the Piscataway Library, and I had them standing on line to do the hot glue one by one. We had about 20 participants doing it, so I know it certainly does take time to get through that. There is a recorded version of this video on the njmakersday.org website under videos and streams. So if I'm going too fast and you want to use that video to sort of be able to stop and start with your group, that's perfectly fine. A recording of this video will also be available as soon as I'm done recording this on our YouTube channel, and again, NJ's Makers Day. So you can always access it there. So once you are done with your cork and your pen, you're going to take your wire, that 6-inch wire that we mentioned before, and you're going to insert that wire into the side of the cork with the pin in it. Oh, excuse me. So again, you can manually do this. It's a little bit tougher that way, but you can see you can put it in there. If you do have access to something like pliers or even a pair of scissors, you can sort of grab it and push it in even further. Another way to do this, if you don't have access to that, is if you have a screwdriver or even just a pencil or a pen, you can take the tip of the screwdriver, pencil, and pen, do a little bit of a starter hole, just poke a little hole in there to get it started, and then either with a tool or with your hand, just manually insert it into the hole. So I'm going to manually insert that in there. So you should have something that looks like this, where you have the cork, the pin's facing up, and you have the wire in one side of the cork. The next part is taking your second cork and attaching it to the other side of the wire. When I've done this project, I've found that when you're inserting the wire into the side of the cork with the pin, I actually find that it works better to take the other end when you're inserting it and not insert it into the side, but actually insert it into one of the ends, so the top or the bottom. So I'm just going to pick a side here, and we'll, again, you can poke a hole, or if you have a tool, you can insert the wire into one side of your cork. So ultimately, you should end up with something that looks, at this point, like this. You have your cork hot glued to your thumbtack or to your push pin, a wire coming out the side of that, going into a cork that's turned or sort of inverted. So let me show a picture of that. Hold that up. Okay. Now comes the tough part. So we need to get this thing to balance on our finger, balance on the table. So what you want to do now is either with your hand or with a pair of pliers or another tool, you're going to start to curve and bend the wire. Now the principle here is that you have a balance, which is your push pin, and a counterbalance. The idea is that you should be able to bring them into a state of equilibrium so that they're able to literally be able to face in one direction horizontally up. So this is not obviously going to work. It's going to tip right over. But the idea is, again, like you said before, you can hold it on your finger, hold it up, and then it'll be able to balance. So what you're going to want to do is continue to sort of curve this wire. Now, I found that, this is just me personally, a sort of slight curve works the best, bringing this around. So it sort of looks like a arc or a C, and then you try it out. So we do have some balance there. Not a ton, but we have some. So it's from here that you're going to start to make your adjustments. So some little tips I can offer you is that if you notice mine seems to be, when I'm putting on my finger, seems to be tipping down. I tend to find that when it's tipping down or back in the other direction, so forwards or backwards, usually the adjustment you want to make is in the curve of the wire. So you want to either make it more curved or less curved to sort of counterbalance the forward or backward tilt. If you find that your project is leaning to the left or to the right, usually the adjustment you want to make is at the point of contact with the cork in the pin. You'd want to make some slight turns to the left or the right to adjust. So we'll hold this up. I'm definitely not in balance at the moment, so I can always make some little adjustments here. See if I can bring this into balance. So it's getting there. I'll probably adjust a little more. And keep in mind that when you're adjusting this, you really want to be acute in how you're adjusting it. And what I mean by that is that you don't want to make big, sharp changes in the wire. You really want to make very minute, little tiny bends. Every little millimeter really does count towards whether you're going to find balance. So you can continue to do that. And ultimately, you want something that's going to balance like that. So you can see I can move this back and forth, left and right. It'll swing a little bit, but it's ultimately, the equilibrium stays the same, so it's still in balance no matter how much I move it. Once you've found your balance, you can start to have a little bit of fun with it. So get your hot glue gun out again. You can, attach, a pom-pom onto it. You can put multiple on there. Put some googly eyes on there. Maybe a spring. You can put a leather wire in there and put something on the end. The creativity is totally up to you. Just keep in mind that each time you add something onto your balancing toy, you're going to have to recalibrate. And that's because obviously even if it's a small, minute object, you're still adding a little more weight either to one side or another side or to the front or the back. That's going to throw your original balance off a little bit by adding that weight. So you just got to make your slight adjustments to get that weight back into counterbalance once again. And then ultimately, you can get it back into balance. And you can have your balancing toy. Have tons of fun with it. You can have a contest with those of you that are with each other in the room. See how long you can get your particular thing to balance. You can see who can balance theirs the most upright. If you want to get creative, you can get like a block of wood or even a piece of cardboard. You could put a couple of these in there, create a piece of art. Get them all to balance together. Maybe you might want to, even have a little off balance so that it gets sort of a swinging motion to it. There's really a lot of different ways you can go with it. But I hope you guys have a lot of fun with it. Don't get too frustrated. The first one that I made took me an hour and a half to get mine to balance. At the same time, I had, I guess 3 or 4 people in the workshop that got theirs in balance in about 2 minutes. So times are going to vary, on a lot of different factors. But just remember, have fun with it. Don't stress out. And I hope you guys are having a great time wherever you are here in the great state of New Jersey. Have a wonderful New Jersey Makers Day. Keep making great stuff. Keep coming to libraries and other sites. Learn, create, and innovate. And hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Take care.